Hello and welcome to The Rookie Hunter. This is episode 7, and as promised, this is our gear issue. There was so much to cover that we decided to make this a two-part episode actually. So today you'll hear recommendations from the Hunt BC Forum as well as the Alberta Outdoorsman Forum. It was the battle against BC and Alberta, with Kelly managing BC and myself in Alberta, but it looks like BC came out just slightly ahead. Don't worry Alberta, you're going to have another chance to beat them. We'll be posting links to both forums on a brand new website, which is therookihunter.com. You can find all of our contact information, links to our social media sites, episode guides, everything's there. It's therookihunter.com, so please go and check that out. As usual, sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy part 1 of our gear episode, and stay tuned for part 2, which will be coming at you in just a few short days.
And then the other game was box, right?
Now it gets really interesting.
No, there's this box, like, I don't know, you cut the top out of it, and then you put it down, and you got to try to pick the box up with your mouth without touching the ground. So just your feet can touch the ground. You got to do like a big stretch.
Wow.
To pick up the box, and then they keep cutting the box down, so eventually it's just a sheet of paper on the ground almost. So I made it through the first round, but that's it. But in order to do that, my pants had a bit of a rip in them already. Oh, no. So then I was just like, fuck it, I'm going for it. And I stretched out, my pants just went just totally ripped them in half.
Oh, nice.
But I just gave everybody the heads up, like, hey, these pants are going out in a blaze of glory. It was awesome.
You know how much I like games, so I'm glad I missed that one.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of you when you at Sean's place there.
When I dropped my pants.
Yeah. We'll cut that out of the.
Well, this is episode 7, Cal. My name is Mike Peterson.
I'm Kelly Molnar.
Since you were sucking back a nice sip of cold beer, what do we got on tap today?
On tap today, the Stumbling Goat Dry Hopped Maibach. And that's from Penticton, BC, Cannery Brewing.
It's really good.
It is. It's nice and summery.
Yeah. So if you're each episode, Kelly and I sort of choose a different beer, and we've been including that in the show notes. So if you're on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever, you can look at it there. But exciting news, we actually set up a website, which is therookihunter.com. So we're going to have more in-depth show notes on there. So if we mention any links or whatever it might be, so today we're going to do some information that we got from the forum. So we'll put up links to the forums on there. So anything we kind of mention throughout the show is all going to be up on the website. So please do go and check it out. The podcast, we're sort of self-financing, and it does cost us money to do it. And we want to branch out and do more things. So we're hoping to kind of go mobile with this thing and be able to record when we're outdoors and that. So if you're interested and you like the show and you got a couple extra bucks, you could donate to us on the website as well, which we would greatly appreciate. But if you can't, that's fine too. We just want to keep this thing free. We're having a lot of fun doing it. So I just thought I'd mention that. But yeah, do go and check out the website. You can contact us through there as well, and suggest show ideas, whatever you want. So let us know what you're up to. We did get quite a few emails last week, and lots of people talking to us through Twitter and Instagram and that. Last week we got pretty carried away talking about sausage making. We had a blast doing it. Have you eaten any more since?
No, not since we did last podcast.
You've got them up at your place. We forgot the wax paper at your house. Mm-hmm. So you brought them back and got them all wrapped up for us. But I've been dying for a fucking sausage, so I got to come up.
I've been surprised you haven't popped up yet.
And I was thinking about it.
Maybe we'll just do have a barbecue up at the house.
We should,
as soon as possible.
Invite some people over or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did get a few emails, and a lot of it was sort of around the whole sausage making thing. we heard from a guy named Aaron Donnelly from Vancouver Island, and just thought I'd mention a couple notes he made in his email. So he also has the KitchenAid attachment that we were using. He noted that casings do make a huge difference. So Kelly and I, we weren't too stoked on the casings that we ended up with. They just seemed kind of tough. So I guess he's done this a few times, and he's saying that casings do make a big difference. So you and I will have to sort of shop around, try something different next time.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you and I didn't mention, I don't think, is the importance of keeping the meat really cold. So we, it was frozen the day of, and we were at the Sportsman show, and you ended up calling Bree to take it out. So it only been out of the freezer for a couple of hours by the time we brought it back to my place, maybe 3 hours at the most. So it was still very frozen, and so we cubed it all up. And then in between, because there's lots of preparation, getting all the ingredients ready to go and chopping all that stuff up and then grinding it, we kind of had it going back and forth from the freezer and keeping it really cold, because it does make a big difference. So good point that he brought up there. Who else did we hear from? Another guy named Ryan Vernon. He actually is kind of cool. We were talking about Rugged Point Lodge on the last episode, and we were hoping, Kelly and I entered to win a fishing trip there when we were at the Sportsman show. Unfortunately, we just got the email a couple hours ago. We did not win.
Yeah.
But this guy, Ryan, he said that his parents own a place just down the boardwalk from Rugged Point. And obviously he's saying he's a bit biased because he knows these people. But he said if you're going to spend money on a guided trip, that Matt and Christine at Rugged Point are awesome. So check them out. I think Kelly and I are thinking probably maybe not next year, but the year after, we're going to get a trip planned up. So looking at dates and that. And it's probably going to be with those guys. One other thing that he wanted to point out for us was a bit of a correction. So we were talking about having fish frozen. And I need to look up where I got the information from. But I was under the impression that if fish was properly frozen, it would keep for quite a while. And I thought I had read up to like 2 years or something like that, as long as it's like flash frozen and then kept properly. Yeah. But this guy says that salmon will not stay for that long. So what do you say? Within the first 4 months, it should be eaten, and anything after up to 8 months is probably best to smoke it at that point. So yeah. I'll look into that a bit more. But he also mentioned that halibut and lingcod will last longer in the freezer. So maybe that's what I was reading about. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of the meat we get from Bree's dad there it's salmon, and some of it's a year old, and I'm sure he's right. Like it's not going to be quite as good, but it's still pretty good.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of agree with him that if there is a fish that's going to go bad before the other ones, it probably is the salmon.
Right.
Because you mentioned the fat content. So
yeah, a great point. Yeah. And Ryan, it's funny, he also is using the KitchenAid attachment and having good luck with it. Also brought up the casings, and he mentioned a place in Langley called Stuffers. So if you're in BC, maybe check them out. I haven't looked into them yet, but we might. There's a couple other local places that you and I can check out too. So anyways, thanks for feedback through emails. We also got a bit of feedback through Twitter and Instagram. I don't have it handy in front of me, but the cool thing about hearing from people is, like, the one guy mentioned that he was out, backpacking, kind of doing some training, getting ready for the hunting season while he was listening to the podcast. So it's kind of neat to know what people are up to when they're listening. Let me see if I can find his name. S. Reedy was his name. And again, he was going to try out that sausage recipe that we were doing. Trying to think if there's anything else. We heard from a few people, but it kind of, I don't know about you, Cal, but I think it's nice just to hear from people, to know, like, we see numbers for downloads, which is great, and those have been going up quite a bit, and it more and more each time we release an episode. But it's cool to hear from people that are listening. So,
well, for sure,
thanks to those guys for reaching out. It's really cool to hear from everybody. Anyways, that's all the housekeeping I wanted to do. Check out the website for sure. It's rookiehunter.com.
TheRookieHunter.com.
Yeah, the Rookie Hunter.
Yeah.
I should make sure.
I'm pretty sure
it just went up today.
Yeah.
Cool. So what do we got on the schedule here, Cal?
So today I think we're going to talk gear, and we'll see how much we get through. It might be a 2-part series.
Could be.
So Mike and I put out a couple questions on local forums. One of them, BC Hunting BC.
The other one, it was the battle between BC and Alberta. So I put it up on the Alberta Outdoorsman Forum, and I think BC won, Cal. I think we got more responses from BC.
Yeah, we got quite a few views, and I got about 70 responses. So maybe we can just go through some of these and
sure,
and see what we got. So, as far as, I guess, common items that we ran into in multiple occasions on these responses, we got some on the board here.
Do you want me to read them for you?
Sure.
We did like a short gear episode. I don't remember which episode it was. Maybe episode 3 or 4 or something like that. And we identified as optics, footwear, and clothing is our top 3, I believe. So what we came across between both forums was boots. A lot of guys recommending Leathermans of various types. I've got a really nice one that I bring along with us. 2 knives, a lot of guys are saying. So I carry a buck knife and my Leatherman, which also has a knife. Kelly, you've got a great surgical blade that you carry. What else have you got with you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few things, I guess. I just bought a jet boil, so that came up a few times too.
Yeah. Well, I meant for a knife. What do you
for a knife?
Yeah.
It's a Havilon Peranta.
Okay. Sharp as fuck, that thing.
Super sharp, almost too sharp. And the other one that we heard a lot about was the outdoor, I can't seem to remember, but it's another knife with exchangeable blades.
Right.
Which is pretty sweet. I mean, you don't have to bring a knife sharpener. But another thing we heard of lots in these threads was carry 2 knives.
Right.
So I carry one of those, the Perantas, and then I've got another knife by CRKT, and it's kind of like a skinny knife.
Cool.
I think it's by Ken Onion. He developed it. He went out and talked to a bunch of Alaskan guides and said, well, what do you want for a one do-it-yourself, do-everything knife? And it has a bit of a drop point on it, but it's kind of a thicker blade, like 1.5, 2 inches almost at one side, and then it kind of it's got a heavy curve on it. So it's kind of like a skinning knife, but pretty tough.
Cool.
So the Havilon, you wouldn't necessarily be using it for the outdoorsy things in your trip. It's more of just a...
Yeah. So having 2 knives obviously makes sense because you got multiple different uses you want to use them for. Mm-hmm. The other thing that came up lots was binos. We already talked about our Diamondbacks quite a bit.
And we can get into more detail about some of the optics later on.
Yeah, sure. That's your area of expertise. Pack. Cal, you've got a nice pack. I'm still shopping. Mm-hmm. We talked about packs already in previous episodes. I won't go over that again. Compass and GPS. So I actually do have a cool compass that my grandma had bought me years and years ago. It was from Lee Valley. It's really cool. And I should start bringing that out because I haven't. Yeah. GPS came up quite a bit. I've got a Spot. It's not a GPS, but basically it's a good safety tool. So if we're doing some backcountry stuff this year, especially we didn't bring it when we were in the park last year because we had cell service and all that kind of shit. But if we're getting out there to have the Spot, it's going to be great because what you can do is check in, and at the end of each day, the important thing with having a Spot is if you're bringing it and you're telling people that you're going to use it, you have to fucking use it every single day. Because if you just, you're tired, you get back and you have a couple of beers or something like that and call it a night and forget to do that, everybody's going to be relying on that email or that text message to come from the spot.
Yeah. And then you hear a helicopter over your head.
Yeah, exactly. And then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I know of some guys that forgot to do that and spooked everybody. So you have to make sure you use it. But you can also, I think with the one that I have, you can send 2 different messages. So there's a check-in saying that you're okay, and it'll send your coordinates. So it'll show you, you'll get an email and it'll have like a photo, like satellite image of where your camp is, and so people know. And then on the other hand, if something shitty happens, then you can send for help too, and it'll again send your coordinates and a satellite image of where you're at. So good peace of mind to have something like that. Hopefully we don't have to, but we still haven't really decided where we're going to be this year, so we might activate that thing. The only downside to the spot is that you have to activate it for a full year. We're probably only going to be using it for a couple weeks out of the year, so that's the only negative aspect of having that, I think. But
it'd be nice to have a pay-as-you-go kind of setup. But
so I don't know, maybe they'll change it. I'm sure everybody has the same complaint for that one. What else?
Well, maybe we'll go through some of these.
Sure.
Monashee Mountain Man kind of kicked it off on the BC forum, and I highlighted the jet boil and the toilet paper.
That came up a lot, yeah.
2 things that came up quite a bit. Stormy mentioned the Spot, which you were just talking about, but he also mentioned the InReach, which is another model, and it's by DeLorme, I think. And it's actually, I think people rate that a little higher, but it's also a little more expensive in terms of subscription plans. I think with the Spot, you can only send out predetermined messages.
Right.
So you just hit a button and it sends it out.
Yeah.
But with the InReach, you can actually text.
Cool.
So that's pretty handy, but I think instead of like $10 a month, it's more like $30 a month.
Okay.
So
yeah, it sort of just has its function of checking in, and either you're okay or you're not. So I don't want to be fucking texting people while I'm out there.
Yeah,
it's kind of the reason why you get out there, is to get away from all that shit.
Yeah. What else do we got here? Wide Open Throttle mentioned a small tarp, which is something that I've been looking into, just a sill tarp.
Yeah.
Kind of lightweight, something that you can use for your tent, even if you have to, if you got some trekking poles. And he says around his neck, he always has a compass. Right. So he's always got it on him.
Yeah, we got to get mine out then, because it's, I haven't used it.
I've always had one in my pack. So we never actually had to use it though. But like you say, around here, you kind of know where you are, because we have a massive lake here, and we always kind of know where it is, unless the fog rolls in and you get spun around. But
yeah, it's pretty easy to get around sort of where we've been hanging out. Yeah. And because the Okanagan has been hit by so many forest fires, it's pretty wide open too. But that's going to change this year. I think we're going to go into some different spots.
Yeah. Warren Nichols says sunglasses hands down, and I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I think I have sensitive eyes or something, but I always need sunglasses if it's even a bit sunny out. And I don't know, it can just be uncomfortable. Like you want to be able to see stuff. You want to be able to walk through bushes and stuff without getting slapped in the eyes and everything else.
This might be common knowledge, but cloudy days are often harder than sunny days as far as glare and stuff goes. So I always bring them, especially, if you're out in snow and it's clear blue skies and it's sunny out, you're just going to be getting glare all day. So I always bring mine to make sure I've got a sort of a shit pair that I bring with me, so I don't give a fuck if they get trashed out there.
Exactly. And if you are going to go out and buy some sunglasses and you're not, I would get some polarized ones, because then you can use them fishing. Yeah. You can see right through the water with those things.
For sure.
For fly fishing, it's really good.
Do you want me to fire off a few from Alberta here?
Sure.
Opa mentioned a slingshot. What she said is silent and deadly for grouse, which is a great point, because on our hunting trip last year, we were looking for elk and for mule deer and hiking. So we saw a ton of grouse in this one little area that had a ton of vegetation and stuff like that. And because we didn't want to spook the possible mule deer or elk. Turns out we didn't see any anyways, but to have a slingshot would be great because we probably could have, taken out at least 2 grouse when we were there and cooked them up that night, which would have been cool. And then somebody followed up, San Juan Worm said, have a look at pocket shot, which I didn't have a look at, but that's some type of slingshot, I guess. Scott N mentioned Gore-Tex type jacket and pants. Cal, do you have any rain gear? I'm kind of hurting in the rain gear area, especially being in the interior. We don't get a shitload of rain here, but
yeah. Just because we haven't done a whole ton of a true backpack multi-day hunting, I haven't invested in a full-blown rain gear hunting set, but I do have a Patagonia Gore-Tex jacket, and I wish it was a size up so that I could put it over my stuff, but right now it involves taking my hunting jacket off and putting the other one on, but it does pack down into pretty much a pocket. And as far for hunting pants, I just went to Sport Check and bought these $40 Columbia rain pants that are waterproof, but they're not breathable. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of just in one of those situations where it's pouring rain and you're just going to hunker down and throw these pants on, hopefully just for a little while and then move on. But I don't think I'd want those if I was in a true backpacking kind of 4-day event. But
yeah, I've got super heavy stuff I brought with us in the park, which actually came in handy, and it's these wet skins, which are probably better suited to fishing on the West Coast when it's raining. But we did get stuck in some rain on one of our hikes out there, and I just basically stripped down all the layers I had underneath and just had a t-shirt on, and might have just been in my ginch underneath the pants, and I was able to keep cool and put all my stuff in my backpack and keep it dry, throw that stuff on, and save myself from getting soaked. I think you and Kevin didn't bother to switch over. And
it's funny, you get caught in the rain and it seems like such an effort to stop and
it does
change, and kind of you feel like you're slowing everybody down and all this stuff, but at the end of the day you should just do it. Stop, if you got to take your boots off to change your pants, then do it, even if it takes 5 minutes to tie them up again. I ended up hanging everything out to dry, and it was still a little bit damp in the morning, and it was just
luckily the next day was pretty nice, but if it was wet and cold, you probably might not have been too happy, really. I'll read one more and then I'll throw it back to you. Big Mountain Rider also mentioned a compass, but he said a whistle too, which is a good point. And I have one in my pack all the time, just this little fluorescent orange plastic thing. But if you're injured or stuck or you lose your buddies, you can just start blasting on that thing, and eventually they're going to hear you. So just stay put and keep wailing on your whistle, and eventually someone's going to hear that. So the weight of a whistle is, pretty insignificant. So not a bad thing to have in your pack.
2 Feet from the Hunting BC forum. He mentioned good boots, and I know we already mentioned it, but I think boots, the more I think about it, are really the top of my list.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we said optics last time, but I'm starting to shift to boots, because if you don't have boots to get to where you want, to shoot what you want, to pack what you want, to sight what you want, you can't even get there, and you can't even get back without your boots.
Yeah, optics don't matter if you can't get somewhere, right? So that's a good point.
Al Bravo 2 mentioned the hiking poles or trekking poles. That's something that I haven't bought yet, but it's kind of at the top of my list in terms of as you get further out, you want to have those.
I bought some at Costco. I sound like a rep for Costco, but they tend to have cool shit here in there, and it's usually fairly inexpensive. I don't know, they might not be the best ones. I didn't really do any research, but I'll probably fucking lose them or break them at some point anyways. So I think they're only about $40 anyways. I'm sure if you spend more, you might get lighter trekking poles, but
carbon,
whatever, man. I don't care that much
at this point. BC Bear mentioned the Zap straps. which I always throw, I don't know, I always throw about 10 of them in my pack. They're just rolling around in the bottom. They weigh nothing, and those things, you never know when you're going to need one. River Runner mentions the merino wool buff or scarf.
Yeah, I've got one of those. I love that fucking thing.
That thing, top of the list.
Yeah. You can use it for a bunch of different things too, because you can put it on your head and use it as a toque and or a do-rag, whatever you want to do, man. It's pretty, I love that thing. It's super warm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that thing, and you can pull it up pretty high too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I don't know, even if you're turkey hunting or something, you can pull that thing right up to your eyes. And then if you've got a little merino wool toque,
yeah, which we both do,
you can pull that down on top of your eyes, and you got like a full-blown mask going on.
Yeah.
And the good thing about merino wool is that it keeps you cool. You can almost wear it in the midsummer there.
I can't say enough good things about merino wool. I have some on right now for some reason. It was cool this morning when I was out. I'm always wearing them, man, constantly. Yeah. It's kind of weird, but they seem to regulate things pretty good.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Rab or RAAB said chips, like potato chips, double as a food source as well as a good fire starter. And I think a lot of people have probably seen this, but corn chips and bugles will light up pretty good, and they'll continue to burn just with all the oil and shit that's in them. So yeah, not a bad idea to throw some of those in the pack. Yeah, you might want to eat them. You might want to light them on fire. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Either way, not a bad thing to have. And extra ammo. I've got a nice leather ammo pouch that goes onto my belt. That was my dad's. So for that reason, it's cool. But anything made out of leather always looks kind of rad too. You know what I mean? So that thing you can probably fit, I don't know, probably at least, it's probably under 20 bullets that I can put in there. But there's a top and a bottom compartment and just a little button on there, so you can drop it open real easy and then grab extra out of there. So that's a good thing to have. What else have we got? Grizzly Adams is a smart man. He said, bring a flask. And you and I both brought flasks, and we said we would only make use of them if we got something. And I think when we finally did get something, I don't even know if we remembered to pull out the flask or not.
I can't remember, actually.
We did.
I had some scotch in mine. Yeah. And I think you've always had some Fireball. In yours. And that kind of keeps you going in the winter there.
We ended up drinking it while we were cross-country skiing, I think. But I've refilled it, so it's good to go.
The scotch was to be saved for...
victory,
yeah. But like you say, I don't even know if
think
we pulled
remember.
It out there.
Yeah. I'll do one more. Z7 Extreme said extra pair of dry merino wool socks. So we were just talking about that. And you want to keep your feet dry. My boots are waterproof, so are yours, but you never know. And merino wool is just great. So yeah, good point.
I actually just bought some liner socks.
Okay.
They're super thin, breathable, because even with your boots, if you're getting blisters once in a while or anything like that, I'm just trying to find a solution for like as your foot warms up, it gets moist, and that's kind of where the rubbing starts to happen, right? So I'm thinking those liner socks will help with that. So Alan says bear spray on a drop leg holster.
Okay, yeah.
So I think we both have bear spray now.
We do. I don't have a holster for it. I think you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best to keep it on you. He's talking about archery hunting, so even more so in that case. Right. But
I picked it up. I'm going to do the, I want to do the West Coast Trail this summer, but we're going to do the Juan de Fuca Trail. And I think there's a ton of black bears in there. So that was the reason for buying it. Maybe I should get a holster for that, so it's handy.
Yep, good idea.
What else you got?
Floden says multiple lighters and a flint. So I think there's multiple ways you can start a fire. I know cotton balls with Vaseline all over them is a good one. But multiple lighters, that's kind of why I highlighted that. I have a couple, 2 or 3 of them that I keep in a little bag in my pack.
I've got a few too.
Yeah, and on each one, I got a tip from Steve Vernella, a couple wraps of electrician's tape around it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's an emergency, you've always got a little bit of electrician's
you
tape
can
on you too.
Wrap quite a bit around there for sure.
Yeah. Nature Girl, she had a couple. One was her camera, and the other one was a tick remover.
Oh, okay.
So I guess you can buy these. I'll have to get back to her response at the bottom here, but I thought that was an interesting point. Every once in a while, there's like, I don't know what month it is. It might be May, early spring, but we've come home a couple times just covered in ticks.
They were out early this year. Even in March this year, apparently they were out. Little fuckers. I hate those things.
Yeah. And I think we're a little lucky on the BC side because we don't get the Lyme disease ticks.
Right.
We get the Rocky Mountain spotted fever ticks and the paralyze you from the neck down ticks.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Gross. The Lyme disease ticks, not a fan of those.
No.
G Machine 19 says, my pillow in a warm sleeping bag. A lot of people suggest that you don't take a pillow for space.
Bring a pillowcase and just stuff clothes on it.
Yeah, stuff clothes in it, something like that. Which, I mean, that could probably work too, but I just think you should have some type of pillow.
Right.
Because I've heard from multiple guys that, like, it's all fine to save space, but at the end of the day, you need to get sleep. And
you gotta have a good sleep, man.
Yeah.
That camp that you and I set up was fucking great. I was super comfortable, really warm.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing better than coming back after, hiking all day long, so up to 12 hours sometimes, and having a good place to set up, eat some food, relax for a bit around the campfire, and then have a good sleep. If any of those elements are missing, man, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be comfortable and have a good time while you're out there too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Walks a lot said, a piece of paper left on your counter in your house, basically telling everybody where you are and kind of where you plan to go. Yeah, it's one thing to tell people, but at the end of the day, they might not remember, right? So just write it on a piece of paper, throw it on your counter, and take off.
When we were in the park, I sending I sent out a few text messages, like one each day with our location and where we're at, which is an option in text messages. I didn't even realize until we were out there, but you can sort of tag your location and they can bring it up on maps with an iPhone anyways. I'm sure you could do it with any other phone. Mm-hmm. Van Island mentioned wind checker powder, which is
something we need.
Yeah. And you can do that with you can create your own with baby powder or whatever. But this person said you can usually get it for less than $10 anyways. So, I don't know. It's a good thing to have. So we can often tell which way the wind is going, but not always. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
What else have I got?
Yes, especially when you're down low, it seems like you never know. Stuff just kind of tumbles around the wind.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going to stock something, it's nice to check every once in a while.
Tinda Wolf said campfire festivities, which we were just sort of talking about, having a good camp and some good drinks to have after. And not that we're out there getting fucking hammered or anything like that, but nothing like a cold beer after hiking all day long. And what were we making, man? Kevin brought those little flatbread things or whatever.
Naan bread,
yeah. That he had pre-made at home, and then we were just throwing it on the grill in the fire ring, and then cooked up sausages and all this shit. Fuck, that was good, man.
That was unreal.
Yeah. So those are the memories from that trip, was the food we ate.
Yeah, ate better out there than we did at home.
That's all I have from the Alberta Forum. We're going to put up links to this on the website. So there's lots of other stuff you guys can go and check out. This was the Alberta Outdoorsman Forum, but Kelly, you probably got more, so I'll let you continue on.
Let's see here. I've only got a couple more that I can talk about. I mean, we got tons of responses, but can only go over so many. I'm Pot's old. He mentioned he carries a couple of space blankets.
I've got two, actually.
Do you carry two?
Yeah.
I carry one, but
Well, actually, no, that's not true. I have two now. I just bought one, or I was given one for my birthday. I got a bunch of cool shit for my birthday, mostly survival gear.
right.
So I've got two now. One is small and old, which might just be a good backup to maybe throw over. You know, maybe we're stuck out somewhere and we need to keep our packs dry. We can throw that one over top just to keep things
Right.
tidier, or who knows how. But
Yeah.
also be good to have a nice one for an actual emergency situation.
Yeah, and he mentioned that like folded right side in with the reflective inside, it'll keep you warm, but if you fold it the opposite way, it could keep you cool by reflecting stuff away.
Oh, okay.
And he also mentioned that in a shelter situation, you can kind of pin it up on the back of the shelter, and then you have your fireplace, and then you're sitting in between, and it'll kind of reflect the heat back to you.
Right.
So it can be a fire backstop. So yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm not sure about putting your sleeping bag inside of a safety blanket. Maybe somebody can send us a note about that. But my sleeping bag is, I can't remember what it's rated for now. I think it's rated for about -7 or -10 Celsius, which is pretty good, but you never want to use it at the point where it's rated for. It's not going to be comfortable. It's just rated at that far. So, I don't know. I've always thought about, okay, well, if I'm really cold, can I throw it in the space blanket? I know you never want to pull one of those space blankets over your head. But
yeah, I don't know, man.
Maybe somebody can clarify that for us. But yeah, I think that's all I got from the Hunting BC forum here. There's a lot of responses, and I think we summarized quite a bit of it at the beginning here with our common items.
But yeah, there's a lot of overlap in there, but maybe there might be some sort of, things specific to brands and stuff. If people want to go and check that out, we'll put up the link. So go to the website and have a look.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for the responses.
Yeah, thank you very much. These, it becomes clearer and clearer. It's funny, when we first joined with some of these forums, I was like, oh, I don't know what kind of responses we're going to get, if any. Oh my God, man. And it's like thousands of views. I think the Alberta one had over 2,000. Yours had over 3,000. I think I had, close to 50 responses. You had over 70. So pretty amazing. So anybody who's a rookie hunter and you have a question, there's no stupid question. And nobody's going to troll you on these forums and make fun of you. There was a couple guys cracking jokes and shit like that, but it's not like they're mocking you. They're just having fun on there, right? So, and, that being said, too, if people want to suggest any topics for us, or if they have a question, we might not know the answer off the top of our heads, but we'll gladly look into it. So if you want to send shit in, again, go to the website, therookiehunter.com, and all our contact info's there. So don't be shy to reach out to us.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the stuff we've brought and bought so far. Maybe what's worked for us and what hasn't so far, and things we want to buy. So let's start with optics.
Sure.
So I guess by optics, we're thinking binoculars, spotting scope, rifle scope, and range finders, cameras, all that kind of stuff. As for rookie hunters, with binoculars, and something we thought a lot about was like, how much magnification do you actually need?
Right.
And I think it depends a little bit on where you're hunting. If you're hunting in a bush, or if you're hunting out west, where we are, there's a lot of forest around us, but there's a lot of open areas too. So we decided to get 10 times magnification.
Right.
And I think anywhere between 8 and 10 times is probably where you'd want to be. Anything over 10 times, you're going to have to deal with a lot of shake.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep those things still. You might have to get a tripod just to use them.
Well, even with the when we were out shooting a couple of weeks back there with the spotting scope, and that tripod that I have, It's light, which is great for bringing out, but it's pretty flimsy. It's not the sturdiest thing. So,
and what's the magnification on that? Like 40 or
40,
something maxed out?
Yeah.
You touch it with your eyebrow and it's just like shaking.
And a couple of times it just tapped the leg with my boot, and then that's way off, and you have to fucking line it all up again.
But pretty amazing when you get that thing dialed in.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Yeah, you can clearly see, like we were shooting at 100, which is no problem obviously with that thing, and then over at 200, and could very easily see where we were hitting the target.
Right.
It saves you fucking walking back and forth and that.
Yep. I also mentioned, I think we talked a little bit about rifle scopes in a previous, but I kept it to 2.5 to 10 times magnification on my rifle scope. I think guys in the old days, they used to use like a fixed 6 times, and like the Jack O'Connors and all those kind of guys. And I've also read a couple articles where guys say anything over 10 times is kind of a varmint rifle.
Okay.
And it's kind of unnecessary unless you're going to be shooting over, 400 or 500 yards. And most folks probably aren't going to be doing that. And the people that are going to be doing that can probably afford to buy the $2,000 to $3,000 scopes that are required.
Yeah.
Kind of a different ball game when you get there. I bought the Vortex Viper 2.5 to 10 scope, and it's really good. The only thing it doesn't have is a parallax adjustment.
Oh, okay.
It's fixed for 100 yards, but and by parallax, I guess we mean, if you're sitting in a driver's seat looking at your speedometer, it looks different to the passenger that's looking at the speedometer. Right. So you want to make sure you're perfectly lined up in that scope, and the parallax adjustment makes it a lot easier to make sure that you're not kind of looking in a different area than you actually are. And then your aim's not going to be off. So I kind of wish mine had a bit of a parallax adjustment, but it's all good. We're not shooting anything over 300 or 400 yards.
Yeah.
Another point about the binos is anything over 10 times, you start dealing with field of view problems. So 8 times is actually pretty good for that. Anything between 8 and 10, you get a big field of view.
Right.
Your spotting scope, for example, once you get up to 40 times, you can only see so much, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even, just at 200 yards and trying to like get the scope on the target sometimes was a bit tricky, because you think you have a look and look for some sort of landmark, it'd be a dead tree or something like that. And then you think you got to line up in the scope, but you're looking in the wrong direction, then you tap it and it's like way off in the other direction. Yeah, it's tricky.
Basically, I would say with any optics, you're going to be kind of looking at how much light you're going to get versus how much weight you want to be packing. Right. And it goes for scopes, spotting scopes, binoculars, everything. You don't want to just max it out and get like 52 or 60 objective lens binoculars that weigh like who knows how much, and you're going to be packing around just to get as much light as possible. So you always want to try to find a balance for what you're doing. But
that might be more important on your scope if you want to maximize sort of like your time in the field. Mm-hmm. If you spot something with your binoculars, you can probably be pretty confident with identifying it, and then putting your scope on it if you want to be able to take the shot when it's still sort of somewhat, obviously you have to be doing it within the proper allowable hours to be shooting. But if you have that extra 10 minutes when it's a little bit darker that you might not be able to see something with a different scope, then it could raises your odds again. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all a give and take.
Yeah, totally.
I know when I was buying binoculars, a lot of people were talking about exit pupil, and that's basically if you put your binoculars on a table and you're a couple feet back and you look through your binocular, that little hole at the, like you can see the lens kind of through the eyepiece. Mm-hmm. The measurement of how big that hole is what the exit pupil is called.
Oh, okay.
And I think a healthy human eye has about max 7 millimeters exit pupil. So how you figure out what the exit pupil is of a binocular is you take the objective lens and you divide it by the magnification. So our binoculars are 10 by 42s. 42 is the objective lens size, divided by magnification is 10. So we have 4.2 millimeter exit pupils in our binoculars. So that's as big as that hole is going to get. Our eyes could potentially be 7, but that's only in dark conditions when your eye opens up a lot, right? So I really don't think that the exit pupil makes a huge difference unless you're, if you're in that 8 to 10 with a relatively good objective lens, you're probably going to be fine for any hunting condition, I would say. And it probably only makes a difference when it gets really dark. And at that point,
you might not want to be shooting
anything anyways. So I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think exit pupil is really a make or break.
Right.
But and then
it's a good thing we got Kelly here. I'm way too stupid for this shit, but it's very interesting.
And then the tripod is obviously helpful. I have a bog pod that I use as a shooting stick, and you can buy attachments for that. Binocular holder and a spotting,
I was thinking about that, man.
All that kind of stuff. So it's good, but I don't know. After buying it, I almost I'll probably shoot more off my pack in some situations, unless we're in an ambush style.
Right.
But and then I was thinking, well, if I'm shooting off my pack, then I kind of wish I had more of a lightweight optic tripod, like a super lightweight, high quality one. But those aren't exactly cheap. They're about $200 to $400 for a good tripod. So it kind of depends what you're doing.
Yeah, you just got to decide what's important to you at a certain point.
Yeah. I threw rangefinder into the optics category. So, like if you're not shooting anything past 300-400 yards, I don't know if a rangefinder is at the top of my list, because we both sight in at 200 yards. And at 100 yards, we're about 1 to 2 inches high. And at 300 yards, we're what? Maybe 4 inches low.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And 200, you're right on. So there's very minimal adjustment that you have to make for any of our shots anyways. If you're a golfer, you could probably gauge 1, 2, and 300 yards pretty decently.
Yeah, for sure.
Or with practice anyway. But if you're going into archery, definitely get a rangefinder and get one that has a angle adjustment on it. And I'm not sure if we talked about that in previous podcasts, but I think it's the rifleman's rule. So basically, you've got the horizontal distance to your target, which is totally parallel with the ground. And then you've got your slant angle. So say a mountain goat is like, I don't know, 300 yards up on a mountain. The horizontal distance is actually going to be shorter than that.
Right.
The hypotenuse would be your slant angle directly to that target. And your bullet is actually you want to be shooting for the horizontal, which is the shorter distance, not the actual slant angle.
Right.
So just something to keep in mind. That obviously is magnified huge with arrows, because every 10 yards is about 100 yards with a rifle. So, or vice versa, right? So say a 30-yard shot with an arrow is just like taking a 300-yard shot with a rifle in terms of how difficult it is. So lens pen.
Yeah, we talked about that thing already.
Yeah.
Get one.
Lens pen, get one of those. I actually saw them in the store, and they're more like $20 now.
Oh, are they?
I don't know if it was just the store.
You got lucky.
Or, I mean, US dollar.
Yeah.
It's affecting us up here.
Yeah. So, Cal, we still have a bit more to cover here. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We're in a recording studio, and there's a band waiting to get in here in about 10 minutes. So maybe we are going to have to make this a two-parter. That all right with you?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So we still have more to cover. We knew this was going to be a big episode. We're almost through this, so we've got a few more things we want to go over. So maybe we'll wrap this in. We'll come back in the studio in a couple more days here and do part 2 of this thing. And then we've got the gear episode behind us, because we've been meaning to do a proper gear episode. We were always sort of like trying to make it, come in at the end of a podcast or something like that, and never having appropriate amount of time. So lots to cover, and hopefully you guys are finding this useful. Some of it might not be interesting, some of it might be super interesting. For some guys, it just depends what you're looking at and where you're at in your hunting career. So before we wrap this up, Kel, do you want to say anything?
No, I think we'll just carry it on.
Okay,
right?
cool.
Next episode.
So stay tuned. In the meantime, I guess we'll see when we get back in the studio, but watch for part 2 to come up within the next couple of days after this one, and we'll finish it up. But go to the website, therookihunter.com, check things out there. We'll have a whole list of shit from this episode posted up there that you can check out, and email address, everything's there. So as usual, thanks for joining us. If you're digging this, please go to iTunes and leave us a rating or review. And you can also subscribe. Those two things really help us kind of get the name out there and reach more people. So we're happy to do this. We just want to make sure people are listening. So thank you very much, and happy hunting.
Cheers.
Cheers.